His name was Miguel Juan Pellicer, a poor farm worker, young, strong. His future seemed simple until one terrible accident changed everything. While traveling with a wagon, he fell beneath its heavy wheel. His right leg was crushed. The injury became infected. Doctors had no choice to save his life. They amputated the leg below the knee. This wasn't done in secret. The operation was witnessed, recorded. The amputated leg was buried, following the custom of the time. Miguel survived, but survival came with a price. For the next 2 years, he lived as a beggar, relying on crutches and charity. Thousands of people saw him. Many recognized him immediately by the missing leg. No one questioned it, because there was nothing to question, until one ordinary night, when everything changed. Miguel returned home exhausted. He fell asleep, nothing unusual. His parents expected another ordinary morning. Instead, they noticed something impossible. 2 feet beneath the blanket. At first, they thought someone else was in the bed. Then they pulled back the covers. Miguel had 2 legs. The missing leg had returned. He later claimed he had gone to sleep after praying to the Virgin of Pilar. But prayer alone wasn't enough to convince anyone. His neighbors rushed to see him. People who had known him for years. People who had watched him beg in the streets. They all asked the same question. How could a man who had lived with 1 leg for 2 years suddenly have 2? The rumors spread across the region. Soon, the story reached the authorities, and that's when the case stopped being a local miracle and became an official investigation. This wasn't a story accepted without questions. Quite the opposite. Church officials opened an inquiry. Civil authorities became involved. Witnesses were called. Doctors testified. Surgeons who had performed the amputation confirmed what they had done. Neighbors described seeing Miguel for years with only 1 leg. Hospital staff remembered him. Beggars who had shared the streets with him remembered him. Dozens of testimonies pointed in the same direction. 1 leg had been amputated. 1 leg had returned. The investigation lasted months. Every statement was compared, every witness examined. Finally, a formal declaration concluded that no natural explanation had been found for what had happened. Word spread beyond the town. Even King Philip IV requested to meet Miguel personally. Imagine that, a simple farm worker standing before the king because of 1 impossible question. Centuries later, the case still divides historians. Some believe the documents describe one of the greatest miracles ever recorded. Others search for explanations that history may have overlooked. Could there have been mistaken identity, an incomplete amputation, exaggerated testimony? These possibilities have all been discussed, yet each faces the same difficulty. The investigation included numerous independent witnesses who knew Miguel before and after the event. That doesn't automatically prove a miracle, but it explains why the story has never disappeared. Unlike many legends, the Miracle of Calanda left behind legal records, sworn testimonies, and detailed historical documents. Not enough to force belief, enough to keep the mystery alive. And sometimes, history's greatest mysteries survive not because everyone agrees, but because no one can fully explain them. So, did an amputated leg really return? History preserves the testimony. Medicine recognizes how extraordinary such a claim would be. Faith sees the hand of God. Skeptics continue searching for another answer. Each approaches the story differently. But perhaps the real mystery isn't what happened to Miguel. Perhaps it's why this case continues to fascinate nearly 400 years later. Because very few historical events contain so many witnesses, so many official documents, and one question that still refuses to disappear. Whether you believe this was a miracle, whether you remain unconvinced, or whether you're simply curious, one thing is certain. The story of Calanda reminds us that some mysteries are never truly buried. Just like the question that began tonight, could a severed leg really grow back? Perhaps the answer matters less than the fact that, centuries later, the world is still asking. If you enjoyed this investigation, welcome to Divine Eternal Stories. Every week we explore the greatest mysteries of Christian history through evidence, historical records, science, and faith, always inviting you to think before you decide. Subscribe and join us for the next investigation. What if the next mystery wasn't about a missing leg, but about a flame? A fire that, according to centuries of tradition, appears each Easter inside one of Christianity's holiest places, and that many pilgrims have described as behaving in extraordinary ways during its first moments. In our next investigation, the Holy Fire of Jerusalem, 1 flame, thousands of witnesses, and a mystery that continues to ignite debate today. Imagine opening your eyes, stretching, placing your feet on the floor, and suddenly freezing because the leg you lost, the one doctors amputated, the one buried 2 years earlier, is back. Not a dream, not a story told around a fire. Official records claim that this is exactly what happened in 17th century Spain. Impossible? That's what everyone thought, including the surgeons, including the judges, including the king himself. Tonight, we are not asking whether miracles exist. We're asking something much more specific. Could one of history's most extraordinary medical cases really have happened? Because if the records are true, this isn't just a miracle. It's a mystery that medicine has never fully explained. And it all began with a young man whose life changed long before that impossible morning.